Lionel Messi finally showed how he really felt about everything, and almost nobody noticed it. It wasn't a long speech, a dramatic interview, or a social media post. It was just one quick gesture that lasted only a few seconds before it was over. Most people completely missed it, but the fans who caught that moment knew right away that Messi had just said more without speaking than millions of angry voices. And even FIFA's leadership had managed to say, through days of headlines and arguments, just think about the chaos surrounding him. A heated confrontation after the final whistle. More than 23 million people signing a petition demanding that his national team be removed from the World Cup forever. His teammates speaking out online with strong messages, while FIFA's president pushed back against the growing backlash. In the middle of all that noise, Messi stayed calm and made one simple move that instantly grabbed attention. That quiet moment spoke louder than endless debates and gave people a completely different way of looking at everything that was happening. That small gesture ended up carrying more weight than 23 million signatures. And there's a reason for that. But before we get to that unforgettable moment, you need to see the full picture and understand the pressure Messi was dealing with first. Keep that in mind, because we're coming right back to it. And before we go any further, there's one important thing you need to understand, because it connects everything that follows. Almost nobody seriously believed FIFA was going to remove Argentina from the World Cup. That idea was never realistic, and it wouldn't have matched how these situations are normally handled. One heated incident at the end of a match is not something that leads to an entire national team being banned. And while more than 23 million people signed the petition, those signatures showed just how emotional fans were at that moment, not what the official process would be. The petition wasn't really about expecting Argentina to disappear from the tournament. It became a way for millions of frustrated supporters to send a loud message. In their eyes, Argentina had been treated differently, and they wanted the football world to pay attention. Whether people agreed or disagreed, that belief quickly spread across social media and sports discussions everywhere. To understand why emotions reach that level, you have to go back to the final whistle at MetLife Stadium. Spain had just been crowned world champions, but instead of the focus staying on the celebration, the closing moments turned into complete chaos. As Spain's players rushed off to celebrate, Nahuel Molina appeared to make contact with Captain Rodri while running past, sparking a heated confrontation. Nicolas Otamendi exchanged intense words with Rodri, while Leandro Paredes got involved in a physical altercation with Eric Garcia before both he and Thiago Almada became part of another clash involving Gavi, turning the end of the match into a scene few expected. The situation didn't stop with the players. Members of the coaching staffs rushed into the confrontation, making an already tense scene even more shocking. One moment, in particular, drew massive attention. Argentina assistant coach Roberto Ayala appeared on camera making contact with Spain's Dani Olmo during the commotion. Seeing a coach become physically involved with an opposing player during a World Cup final instantly became one of the biggest talking points after the match. To Lionel Scaloni's credit, he quickly moved through the crowd trying to separate players and calm things down before the situation became even worse. But by then, the cameras had already captured the chaos. The controversy continued during the trophy ceremony, when several Argentina players appeared to turn away as Spain celebrated lifting the World Cup. That image spread across the world within minutes and became one of the defining moments of the night. From there, the petition gained unbelievable momentum. Millions of people shared clips, debated what happened, and argued that Argentina had received favorable treatment throughout the tournament. The petition claimed the competition had not been handled fairly and questioned whether every team had been judged by the same standards. Whether those claims were accurate or not, the reaction was impossible to ignore. What started with a goal of 5 million signatures quickly turned into something much bigger, soaring past 23 million supporters and becoming one of the largest football petitions anyone had seen in recent memory. When Spain lifted the trophy, the petition ended with one unforgettable line: "FIFA ignored us, but Spain delivered." That short sentence summed up exactly how millions of supporters felt. In their view, football's governing body was never going to take action against Argentina, so they celebrated Spain for doing what they believed FIFA never would. At the same time, many Argentina supporters pushed back by launching a separate petition of their own, calling for the final to be replayed because they believed key refereeing decisions had gone against them. That's what made this tournament so unusual. Fans from both sides walked away convinced the officiating had been unfair. Each group believed the other had benefited, and trust in the refereeing became one of the biggest stories after the competition ended. The arguments didn't stop when the final whistle blew, they only became louder. Now let's look at why so many people began talking about favoritism, because this is where the debate really took off. Throughout the tournament, several refereeing decisions were heavily questioned by fans and analysts alike. In the round of 16, for example, Egypt had a goal ruled out after a VAR review because of a foul earlier in the attacking move. Later in that same match, Argentina survived a late penalty appeal before scoring what proved to be the winning goal. Those moments became major talking points, with many supporters arguing that similar situations were being judged differently, while others defended the officials' decisions based on the laws of the game. The controversy didn't end there. In the semi-final against England, Argentina committed a number of first-half fouls, yet only one yellow card was shown during that stretch. Several challenges involving Jude Bellingham quickly became talking points among fans, with many arguing that the referee should have taken stronger disciplinary action. Whether those decisions were correct or not, they added even more fuel to an already heated debate about consistency in officiating. Then came the World Cup final, where another moment sparked fresh discussion. During the post-match confrontation, many viewers believed Leandro Paredes should have received a red card following his involvement in the incident. Reports and online discussions claimed that a red card entry briefly appeared on official match systems before no such punishment was ultimately recorded. That sequence became another source of speculation, although the exact circumstances surrounding it remained widely debated. Looking at those moments together, many supporters felt that key decisions repeatedly seemed to fall in Argentina's favor during crucial matches. That alone does not prove any deliberate bias or conspiracy, but it helps explain why so many fans continued questioning the consistency of officiating throughout the tournament. Those debates carried on long after the football had ended. Then another report added even more attention to the story. In the days following the final, Argentine media reported on a leaked letter said to be from FIFA President Gianni Infantino, in which Argentina was reportedly praised for its professionalism during the tournament. Coming so soon after the post-match confrontation and the heated public reaction, the report surprised many fans and added another layer to an already emotional debate surrounding the competition. For many critics, that sequence of events became the strongest example of why they believed something wasn't right. In their view, controversial refereeing decisions, debates over disciplinary rulings, and reports of a congratulatory letter from FIFA's president all combined to create the impression that Argentina had received favorable treatment. Whether or not that conclusion was justified remains a matter of opinion, but those events became central to the arguments made by millions of frustrated fans. The criticism didn't stop there. As controversy surrounded the tournament, from the post-match confrontation to debates over officiating, organizational issues, and other widely discussed incidents, many people expected FIFA to address those concerns through a formal press conference. Instead, FIFA President Gianni Infantino responded with a lengthy series of posts on Instagram, defending the tournament and rejecting many of the criticisms directed at the organization. In those posts, Infantino argued that the competition had been a success and suggested that much of the criticism was driven by negativity rather than the overall reality of the event. One remark especially caught people's attention when he encouraged critics to take time to meditate, pray, or simply enjoy watching football. That statement quickly spread online, with supporters and critics offering very different reactions to his message. When addressing refereeing decisions, Infantino also argued that disputed calls and controversial disciplinary rulings are part of football at every level, including the biggest domestic leagues. He questioned why some of the strongest criticism was coming from countries where similar debates over officiating regularly happen. His comments did little to calm the discussion, and for many fans, they only intensified an already heated debate surrounding the tournament and FIFA's handling of the backlash. For many observers, that response did not look like an organization eager to confront the criticism head-on. Instead, it gave the impression that FIFA was standing firmly by its decisions and rejecting the growing backlash. As more people revisited everything that happened during the tournament, the claim that the competition had been handled without major issues became increasingly debated across the football world. Several incidents continued to fuel those discussions. Iran's head coach publicly criticized the treatment of his team, saying they faced significant challenges during the tournament, including reported visa delays and changes to their training arrangements. There were also reports involving a Somali referee with a diplomatic passport encountering border issues, along with fans from several countries experiencing travel complications or immigration-related concerns. Those stories added to the wider conversation about how the tournament had been managed beyond what happened on the pitch. Infantino defended FIFA by emphasizing that millions of players, officials, and supporters successfully attended the tournament, arguing that isolated problems should not overshadow the overall event. However, for many critics, that response failed to address the concerns they believed deserved more detailed explanations. His earlier suggestion that people should meditate or pray before reacting remained one of the most talked about parts of his public comments. Another controversy that stayed in the spotlight involved the Balogun disciplinary case. Critics questioned the decision-making process after his suspension situation became the subject of widespread media attention and public debate. Whether connected or entirely separate from other issues, that case further contributed to ongoing discussions about consistency, transparency, and trust in FIFA's handling of the tournament's biggest controversies. The criticism didn't come only from fans. UEFA publicly questioned the handling of one controversial decision, while reports suggested that Norway considered submitting a formal complaint. FIFA, however, maintained that the situation had been handled according to normal procedures. That difference in perspective only made the debate even louder, with many supporters wondering whether the rules were being applied consistently across every team. Because of that history, many fans naturally began asking another question. Would FIFA actually take strong action against Argentina this time? Their skepticism wasn't created overnight. It came from previous incidents where they felt disciplinary measures had been relatively limited compared to the amount of attention those situations received. Whether that assessment is fair or not, it has become a major part of the conversation whenever Argentina finds itself at the center of controversy. One example frequently mentioned was the aftermath of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Following post-match celebrations that drew criticism, including gestures involving the trophy and actions directed toward Kylian Mbappe, FIFA ultimately imposed a financial penalty on the Argentine Federation rather than disciplinary action against individual players. For many critics, that outcome became a reference point in later debates over consistency in sanctions. The discussion also expanded to other incidents involving individual players. Enzo Fernandez publicly apologized in 2024 after sharing a video that prompted criticism from the French Football Federation, while Emiliano Martinez later received a 2-match suspension for separate disciplinary matters during international competition. Supporters and critics alike often point to those events when discussing Argentina's recent disciplinary record and FIFA's overall approach to handling high-profile controversies. When people look back at the list of controversies surrounding Argentina over the years, they often mention several separate incidents together. Critics point to celebrations that received backlash, offensive chants that led to public apologies, political banners displayed at major tournaments, and now the heated confrontation following the latest final. Viewed individually, each situation has its own circumstances, but for some fans, seeing them all side by side has created the impression of a recurring pattern rather than isolated moments. That said, it's important to separate the team as a whole from the individuals involved. Regardless of whether anyone believes broader punishment is likely, FIFA has reportedly opened multiple disciplinary investigations connected to this tournament. Video footage from several angles is expected to be reviewed as officials examine the post-match confrontation involving players such as Nahuel Molina, Leandro Paredes, Thiago Almada, and assistant coach Roberto Ayala. Those investigations focus on the actions of specific individuals rather than automatically placing the entire national team at risk. A separate investigation has also centered on the Las Malvinas son Argentinas banner displayed after the semi-final, reportedly involving Giovanni Lo Celso, Lisandro Martinez, and other members of the squad. FIFA's regulations restrict political messages during its competitions, making the display another major topic of discussion. Argentina had previously been fined after displaying a similar banner during the 2014 World Cup, which is why this latest incident has attracted renewed attention. As things stand, Argentina is dealing with multiple disciplinary cases from a single tournament. Individual suspensions or other sanctions remain possible depending on FIFA's findings, but a ban affecting the entire national team has generally been viewed as far less likely under FIFA's disciplinary framework. The biggest question for many critics became whether Argentina's status would actually change after all the controversy. And based on how FIFA usually handles these situations, the national team itself remained unlikely to face the most severe punishment. Argentina would still be able to compete in future qualifying campaigns, leaving many fans feeling like the same system was still protecting the biggest names in football. The reaction from some of the players also added to the frustration. Instead of offering public apologies, several members of the squad focused their messages on pride, loyalty, and defending their team. Leandro Paredes shared an emotional post celebrating Argentina's achievements and describing the honor of representing his country, but he did not directly address the moment when he became involved in the confrontation with Spain players. Enzo Fernandez also spoke about the disappointment of the result and the pride of wearing the national shirt, but his message did not focus on the red card incident that left Argentina with fewer players during extra time. For many supporters watching from the outside, the lack of direct acknowledgement became another reason the debate continued. Assistant coach Roberto Ayala also faced heavy criticism after the incident involving Dani Olmo. Ayala reportedly described his actions as more of a push than anything serious and suggested they came after something Olmo said during the confrontation. Olmo rejected that explanation in an interview with a Catalan newspaper, arguing that blaming words for a physical reaction was not an acceptable justification and stating that he had not said anything to provoke the moment. Olmo's response stood out because he focused on responsibility and the example athletes set for younger fans. He spoke about respect, values, and the impact players have beyond the result of a match. To many observers, that message represented the kind of accountability they wanted to see after such a controversial ending. Before judging the entire situation, there is another side that deserves attention. Argentina cannot simply be painted as the villains of the story, because the reality is far more complicated. This is a talented and united squad that reached another World Cup final, defeated a strong England team in the semi-final, and built a connection with its supporters through passion, emotion, and national pride. Even some of the most criticized moments have another perspective. The scene where several Argentina players appeared to turn away during Spain's trophy celebration became one of the biggest images of the controversy. However, Lisandro Martinez later explained that it was not intended as a disrespectful gesture or a planned snub. And to be fair, the emotions after losing a World Cup final can be overwhelming, with players experiencing disappointment in a way most fans will never fully understand. A lifetime ban for an entire nation was always an unrealistic idea and, for many, an unfair one. Punishing millions of supporters and future players because of the actions of a few individuals would not be a reasonable approach. FIFA choosing not to remove Argentina from future competitions does not automatically prove favoritism. It can also be viewed as the standard way disciplinary systems are designed to work. The real debate is much more specific. The important questions are about individual accountability. Will the players and staff members directly involved in the incidents receive meaningful consequences, or will the situation end with limited punishment, like previous controversies? That is where the serious discussion belongs. Because at the center of all the anger from those millions of signatures was not really a demand to erase Argentina from football forever. It was a demand for people to believe that the same rules apply to everyone, no matter how famous or successful the team is. What many critics were really asking for was not the impossible. They were not seriously expecting FIFA to erase Argentina from football forever. What they wanted was to see the same level of accountability applied to every team, no matter how successful or powerful. They wanted to see the system prove that reputation and status would not change the way rules were enforced. Instead, they saw Argentina continue with automatic qualification, reports of a message praising the team's professionalism, and FIFA's president responding to criticism with comments that many fans felt avoided the deeper concerns. To those supporters, it felt like football's biggest organization had looked directly at the anger surrounding the controversy and still stood behind the same team at the center of the debate. That is what the Argentina Out campaign ultimately revealed. The biggest argument was never just about removing a team from competition. It was about whether people believed FIFA would ever seriously consider taking major action against one of football's biggest nations. And while everyone was arguing about the controversy, there was one person who responded in a completely different way: Lionel Messi. While some of his teammates were involved in heated exchanges and others were releasing strong statements online, Messi stayed away from the chaos. After the final whistle, as Spain celebrated their victory, Messi did not confront anyone. Instead, he walked across the pitch and personally greeted members of the Spanish team. Former England goalkeeper Joe Hart highlighted that moment on BBC, saying, "There was one man on that pitch who had class, and it was Messi." Spain's young star Lamine Yamal, who was born years after Messi began his professional career, approached Messi to show respect and offer comfort after the loss. Moments later, Messi sat down on the MetLife Stadium field, watching Spain celebrate from a distance as the emotions finally overwhelmed him. He had entered the final wearing custom boots with "The Last Tango" written on the sole, adding even more meaning to what could have been one of the final chapters of his international career. When the final chapter of that night unfolded, Messi chose a completely different path from the chaos around him. While some of his teammates shared emotional messages defending their actions and celebrating their journey, Messi did not release a statement attacking critics, defending the confrontation, or explaining away the controversy. He returned home to Rosario, spent time with his family, and stayed quiet. For many fans, that silence became the loudest message of all. Instead of adding more arguments to an already explosive situation, Messi let his actions speak. He did not participate in the fighting, he showed respect to Spain's players, and he handled the heartbreak of losing a World Cup final with dignity. By refusing to add to the noise, Messi created a clear contrast between his own behavior and the moments that had drawn criticism toward the team. He never had to publicly say, "I am different from this." His actions already showed that. The respect he showed after the final carried more weight for many observers than any online statement or public debate. And the possibility that this could have been his final match for Argentina made the moment even more emotional. After the game, Leandro Paredes suggested that Messi may have already made a decision about his international future, saying, "I think he has made his decision." However, Messi himself has not officially announced retirement and has continued to leave the door open regarding what comes next. Still, the symbolism was impossible for many fans to ignore. At his age, with "The Last Tango" written on his boots, those tears on the field carried a deeper meaning. The location made it even more powerful, because MetLife Stadium was also where Messi suffered another painful international defeat years earlier, losing the 2016 Copa America final against Chile. After that loss, he stepped away from international football before eventually returning and completing the journey that led him to World Cup glory in Qatar. This was another emotional chapter in a career filled with unforgettable highs and heartbreaking lows. The same stadium that once delivered one of the toughest moments of Messi's career may have also become the place where fans witnessed one of his most emotional farewells. But before talking about goodbye, it is important to remember what Messi actually did during this tournament. He was not simply a veteran player watching from the background. He was still the person carrying the biggest moments when Argentina needed him most. Messi delivered a remarkable campaign, scoring 8 goals and coming extremely close to winning the Golden Boot. In the semi-final against England, when Argentina was under pressure, Messi changed the game himself. He moved into a wider position, created opportunities, and played a major role in both late goals, setting up Enzo Fernandez for a powerful finish and creating the chance that led to Lautaro Martinez's winner. He helped push a talented but heavily criticized Argentina squad all the way to another World Cup final. Through moments only a player of his ability could produce, while some teammates spent the aftermath defending themselves, responding to criticism, or dealing with controversy, Messi handled the disappointment in a much quieter way. He seemed to understand that the way a player leaves the biggest stage can become part of their legacy. And that brings the entire story back to where it started. Argentina was never banned from the World Cup, and a punishment removing an entire national team was always extremely unlikely. The decisions, debates, and controversies surrounding the tournament continued, but FIFA ultimately kept Argentina's path forward unchanged, including future qualification opportunities. For the millions of people who demanded stronger accountability, the outcome felt disappointing. They wanted a major response, and instead saw a system that continued moving forward. But in the middle of all that noise, Messi's final moments on the field became the part many people remembered most. The players involved in the confrontation will soon find out whether FIFA is finally ready to hand out serious punishment, or whether this becomes another situation where the consequences feel limited. But the most powerful moment from this entire emotional and controversial ending did not come from a petition, a statement, or a FIFA official. It came from Lionel Messi sitting alone on the field, taking in the moment, saying nothing, and somehow expressing more than anyone else could with words. That quiet image became the final message of a night filled with chaos, debate, and unanswered questions. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think FIFA will finally take strong action against the players involved, or will Argentina once again avoid major consequences? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let everyone know where you stand. If Messi has truly played his final match for Argentina, stay tuned because I'll be breaking down the full story and legacy of his international career when the final word comes from Messi himself. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with other football fans, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. What a way for this chapter to end.